Hey guys, it's Jessica. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are looking at all of the fantasy, sci-fi, and mystery books that are releasing in June that I am excited to read. I'm doing these every month now where I let you know the books that I am excited for in the coming month. I'm also doing a monthly reading vlog where I read several of the new releases that come out that month and let you know whether I think they're worth your time or not. So if that sounds good to you, please consider subscribing. And now let's go ahead and get started with the beginning of June. These are organized by release date so that you can plan your TBR or your library holds or your pre-orders accordingly. So we're going to start with June 3rd, and the first book I'm going to talk about is Of Monsters and Mainframes by Barbara Truelove. This is 416 pages, and it's being published by Bindery Books. This is one of the releases that I am the most excited for this month. It is a strong candidate for being included in my reading vlog. This is the story of a spaceship named Demeter, Ascension spaceship, who is tasked with, ferrying her human passengers. But it turns out that they keep winding up deceased. And it turns out that there might be a vampire on board. And then the description goes into this place where it starts talking about how she has to team up with some, werewolves and other classic horror monsters in order to solve this and make her human passengers be able to survive. And I don't know, it sounds super weird. It sounds so weird, and I am so excited to see if it's good or not. It also has this fantastic cover. Love the cover for this one. Bindery Books is actually an imprint. Bindery Books is a publisher where different, I think, influencers have their own imprints where they can read books and choose ones that they feel like go along with their brand. So I'm so excited to read this one. I think it's probably going to be in my reading vlog, and we will see if it's weird in a good way or weird in a bad way, but I'm definitely excited to find out. Also on June 3rd, we have Shroud by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I believe this book is already published in the UK. His books usually come out earlier there. And this one is, 436 pages, and it is published by Tor. This is about two scientists who are sent to an uninhabitable planet to study its resources. Something happens and they find themselves on the surface, which they never intended to do, and I believe it's about them learning things about this planet and exploring the planet and trying to perhaps get home. I am somebody who has been getting into Adrian Tchaikovsky's works lately. I am about maybe 50-50 on his books I love and his books that I didn't quite vibe with, but I think I probably am going to try this one and see where it falls. I just love a good space opera sci-fi, and this one sounds like it's going to have maybe some creepy things in it. I don't know, but I think it looks really good. So this one I'm really excited about as well. Next, we have The Two Lies of Faven Scythe by Megan O'Keefe. This is an author that I have not read a book from previously. I know that I've heard a lot of really good buzz about her series, and this is a standalone, so that makes me excited that if it has good reviews, maybe I can try that first and see if I like her style. It's 345 pages and being published by Orbit, so not super long, and it looks really interesting. So the description, I'll read a little bit of the blurb. It says, "The Black Celeste is a ghost story, a once legendary spaceship collecting dust in a cosmic graveyard known as the Clutch. Only the famed pirate, Bitter Amadine, knows better, and she'll do anything to never have to go near it again." So we have our main character, Faven, who is searching for a missing person who ends up teaming up with this space pirate. Those of you that are doing the Our Fantasy Bingo Challenge for this year, please note that there is a pirates category that says not a land pirate for hard mode, and it appears that we have a space pirate. So this could be one that could fit for that, which is pretty exciting because that's one of the harder ones to get, I think. I'm just really intrigued by this. As I said, I have been interested in the author's other series. Her other series does start with The Blighted Stars. It looks really good, but I'd like to start with a standalone if I can. And Space Pirates, it appeals to me. I think this one looks really good. And I'm still on June 3rd, by the way. Always a lot of books right here at the beginning of the month. So June 3rd, we have a new book by Maggie Stiefvater, and this one's called The Listeners. Maggie Stiefvater wrote the Raven Boys trilogy, which is a young adult trilogy that I know a lot of people on BookTube really, really love. I have not personally read it. This is her adult debut, and it looks like it's a little bit different from her earlier series, but I've been seeing some positive things about it, so I am definitely intrigued. It's a historical fiction with a magical realism twist. It is set in Appalachia during World War II at a famous resort hotel. And this hotel has been kind of told, I think, by the government that they will be holding on to some Axis diplomats until they can get them out of the country. And again, I don't know what the magical realism aspect of this is, but I do know that it has one, but it looks like it's a lot closer to a historical fiction story. So if that's something that you like, I would check that out. I'm intrigued by it. I'm going to wait for some more reviews before I decide if it's something that I want to add to my list, but I do know that Maggie Stiefvater is an extremely popular and beloved author, so I think the fact that she's having her adult debut is definitely something to watch for. And the last book that I have coming out on June 3rd is A Song of Legends Lost by M.H. Ayinde. It is 640 pages and it is being published by Saga Press. I think this one might also already be out in the UK. At least I've seen some early reviews from the UK, from reviewers over there. So I'm not totally sure if this one might already be out for you all. You can check it out. So it's a long book, but it is one of my most anticipated reads of the month. It's the start of a new series, which is going to be called the Invoker Trilogy. And the thing that really made me excited was I saw a review of it that said that it was heavily inspired by Final Fantasy X, which I think that I am like just exactly the right age for Final Fantasy X to have been like such a formative video game for me, shall we say. And when you read the description, you will understand what it means. So it says, it's a gripping tale of revenge and rebellion in a world inspired by multiple pre-colonial cultures, which also sounds really good to me because I have been so interested in reading fantasy books that are set outside of that kind of traditional medieval Europe feel. I just read the Burning Kingdoms trilogy this past month and absolutely loved it. And I am in the mood for more things that are different. And the description says, in the Nine Lands, only those of noble blood can summon the spirits of their ancestors to fight in battle. But when Temmie, a commoner from the slums, accidentally invokes a powerful spirit, she finds it could hold the key to ending a century-long war. But not everything that can be invoked is an ancestor. And some of the spirits that can be drawn from the ancestral realm are more dangerous than anyone can imagine. So, okay, I can definitely see the Final Fantasy X there. If you've played it, you know. But I am pretty excited to read that one, and I am really considering putting it on my TBR for June, even though it's really long, just because I am so curious about it, and I've just heard such great things, and I just really want to read something different, so that's a definite possibility. Okay, we are finally on the second week of June. This is June 10th, and the first book coming out is The Witch Roads by Kate Elliott. It's 448 pages and it is published by Tor. Kate Elliott is another author that I have never read a book by, but who I have been very curious about for a long time. And this one looks really great. I also really like the cover. It's just got, I don't know, good vibes. I just love the cover. So this is the story of a courier named Elin who used to be a child slave who has been tasked with guiding an arrogant prince, the description says, on a very dangerous path. And what happens when he does not listen to her and something goes very, very wrong? I'm actually keeping that even more vague than the description because the description I feel like might be a little spoilery. So I think it looks great. And it's one of the ones that is, again, on my possibilities list. I just think it looks really, really nice. And again, I've never read a book by this author and I'm definitely interested. And then we have a book that I probably don't need to tell you about because I'm pretty sure that it is the biggest fantasy release of the month. And that is Bury Our Bones in Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This book is 560 pages long, which I think is long for a V.E. Schwab book, and it is being published by Tor. It's a historical fantasy that I think has a little bit of a possibly horror twist to it. It is set in 3 different time periods where we follow 3 different women. So I am a little bit mixed on V.E. Schwab. I absolutely love Addie LaRue. I think Addie LaRue was great. And I didn't really love the Darker Shades of Magic series, mostly because there was a main character who just drove me nuts. And if you've read it, you probably know who I'm talking about. But I want to try another book, and it is pretty likely that I'm going to be reading this one next month or possibly the month after, depending on when my library is able to get a copy to me, because I do want to try another one. I've heard mixed things. Some people love it, some people going, oh, I don't know. So we'll see where I fall on that, but I think this one looks really great, and like I said, it's probably the biggest release of the month. And then we have a mystery that has a little bit of a speculative fantasy twist to it, and that is A Most Puzzling Murder by Bianca Marais. It's 480 pages long, and the big thing I think to know about this is that it apparently has has puzzles within the book for you to solve yourself, and it also has a little bit of a choose your own adventure aspect. And I think that sounds really, really fascinating. It's a mystery about a child prodigy and puzzle solver who gets an invitation to become a historian for a recluse, and obviously puzzles and mysteries and clearly from the title, murders are going to be taking place. I just love a mystery that plays around with the genre a little bit and gives you a little bit of agency in solving the mystery yourself. So I am definitely at some point going to be reading this one, and I think it looks really good. And then on June 17th, we have This Princess Kills Monsters, The Misadventures of a Fairy Tale Stepsister. I just need you guys to look at the cover because the cover is so pretty. It makes me want to read it very badly. It is 416 pages, being published by Dial Press. And what is it about? It says, a princess with a mostly useless magical talent takes on horrible monsters, a dozen identical masked heroes, and a talking lion in a quest to save a kingdom and herself. And it's a retelling of the Grimm brothers' fairy tale, The 12 Huntsmen, which I am vaguely familiar with. I just love all these books that are taking these fairy tales that I have only heard of in passing and forcing me to read them. For instance, A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher that took on The Goose Girl, one that I definitely did not know, last year. And now we have The 12 Huntsmen, which I don't think I've ever actually read. So I am excited for this one. It looks like it's going to be cute, maybe a little bit cozy, and I love a good fairy tale retelling. Also on the 17th, we have A Far Better Thing by H.G. Parry. It's 416 pages, being published by Tor. I will be reading this one because I have an ARC from the publisher, and I have to tell you all that I feel like H.G. Parry is an underrated author. Last year, I read The Scholar and the Last Fairy Door by this author, and I thought it was so good, and I've got a couple more books waiting on my shelf of hers to read, and I was really excited to get to this new one because it sounds really interesting. It is historical fantasy set during the French Revolution, and it's supposed to be a little bit of a retelling of A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, which I have not read. I've read a lot of Dickens, but I've never read A Tale of Two Cities, so I don't know how much that part's going to hit with me, but I love historical fantasy, and I really trust H.G. Parry to do interesting things with that, so this is one that I'm really looking forward to, and I am definitely going to be reading in June. Then we have Wearing the Lion by John Wiswell. This one is 384 pages, published by DAW. Is it DAW or DAW? I don't know. I have an ARC of this one also. This is my other ARC that I have for June. This is by the author of Someone You Can Build a Nest In, which I have back here somewhere. Someone You Can Build a Nest In was about a 4.5-star read for me. It's a cozy horror book about a monster who falls in love. It's very cute and very cozy and heartwarming in a bloody and gruesome kind of way. And with this book, he's actually taking on something very different, and he is retelling the story of the 12 labors of Heracles, but he's doing it with a twist, which I think is something that I did read the description, which might be a little bit spoilery for some of the things that happen within this, but it looks like we're going to take that story and we're going to make it cozy and heartwarming. And I just love that. And I loved his first book so much. I thought he has so much potential as an author, and I love that he's doing something so different. So I'm really excited to read this one. Again, if you're following along with my Our Fantasy Bingo, this is the one that I am planning right now to count for Gods and Pantheons, not hard mode, just because, you know, it's about gods, and I think it sounds so good. I have one more book coming out, and that is A Magic Deep and Drowning by Hester Fox. It's 352 pages, being published by Graydon House. This is a Little Mermaid retelling, but with a twist. And I think the twist is that the mermaid is the guy. And I think there's some other things that turn the story a little bit on its head too from reading the description. Don't want to spoil those for you, but I think if you're interested in that idea of a romance, definitely romantasy, Little Mermaid, turned around backwards, I think that you probably enjoy this. I don't know if this is one that I'm actually going to get to or not. I'm intrigued by the premise, but I haven't, you know, been feeling anything with a lot of romance in it lately, so might not be one that ends up on my list right away, but I think that if you like that, this looks like a really good one. There you have it, my most anticipated June releases. If you've made it all the way to the end, leave me a comment and let me know if you're planning to pick any of these books up, or if there's anything that you're excited for that I left out. And if you're not feeling chatty today, leave me an emoji. Let's do the spaceship emoji, because there was a lot of sci-fi in this. So thank you all for spending time with me, and I will be back with a new release vlog at some point in June to let you know which books I read and which ones I thought were worth it. I hope that you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.